Borderlands 2, for the most part, is a well-balanced game. Each level has been specially created so that a player can run through each sequence without feeling discouraged or that the gameplay was unfair. And as I played through, I began to get incredibly frustrated. Why was the game fun? Why was I enjoying my time playing through these levels? I sat there for a moment pondering these questions and ran many solutions through my head, and the one that became the most obvious to me was the most brain-dead, unoriginal, caveman-like solution. Add more enemies, create more bosses, just make me more upset. So that's exactly what I did. I installed a mod that multiplies every single entity in the game by 4. Now you may say, oh, that seems kinda easy. Yeah, on paper it does, but not in reality. Originally, I was planning on having a mod that multiplies the entities by 6 or 7, maybe even 8, but just setting it to 4x created so many enemies that at certain points the game's frames would dip into the low teens. For perspective, this is a game released in 2012, running on an RTX 3060, making the game almost crash with the number of enemies spawning. For God's sake, certain stages in this game made the beaches of Normandy look like fucking Disneyland. If you ask me to either do this run again or insert a butt plug made entirely of thorns into my rectum, I would choose the thorn plug any day of the goddamn week. But with that said, let's see if you can beat Borderlands 2 with maxed out enemy spawns. Fuck you guys, never ask me to do one of these ever again. Unless it gets really good views. First off, with any challenge run, you need a clear set of rules. So here they are. The first rule, no running away from any fights. I have to kill every group of enemies I encounter. 2, I have to play the run as vanilla as possible. No glitches, skips, or exploits besides the mod, obviously. And number 3, have fun, smiley face. Now, with all great Borderlands 2 runs, you start out with Claptrap attempting to rob your half-dead corpse, and usually how it goes is a bully monk steals his eye and you go on a manhunt to retrieve it. However, this mod doesn't start working until after you defeat Knuckle Dragger and you arrive at Southern Shell for the first time, so we're just gonna. Now take a look at this clip and tell me if you recognize anything odd. You see it? No? Well, here's what Liarsburg looks like on a normal unmodded run. Pretty empty. Now take a look at my run again. You see it now? This is what the entire goddamn playthrough is gonna be like. So what usually is a 20-second interaction where you kill 10 bandits in Liarsburg turned into a 10-minute long fiasco where I had to kill over 40 enemies in a horde of bullymongs. I left this town looking like the fucking Kunduz hospital after we delivered 3,000 pounds of unadulterated freedom. Can I make that joke? And like the US, I pushed my way through the knee-high pile of war crimes and met with Hammerlock so we could repair this fucking dingbat's eye. Once the repair was done, I continued to the next area where, surprise surprise, I was met with, you guessed it, another 100 fucking enemies. Now, a running strategy you're gonna notice throughout this run is due to just the borderline unending amount of enemies, I just throw myself in the middle and get an unlimited amount of second wins. Once I was done suicide bombing my adversaries, I continued through to Boom Boom's arena. Now, Boom Boom is a double boss fight. There's Boom and then Boom. Don't fucking mix them up. However, this does mean I'll be fighting 8 simultaneous bosses in this altercation. Sounds difficult, however, if you purchase the Game of the Year version of Borderlands 2, you receive a little item called the Skyrocket, and this grenade genuinely will carry you throughout the entire campaign. Up until this fight, I was oblivious to that fact and decided to try it out on Boom Boom, resulting in me killing 5 of the 8 bosses with a single grenade, making the rest of the fight too easy to even feel good about. So I decided to add another role to the run. No Skyrocket. It's too easy, makes the game actually enjoyable, and that's just not what we're looking for with this run. Luckily enough, however, Boom Boom dropped a legendary Zero Fuse bonus package, so for now I was covered. Onward towards Captain Flint's ship, and trust me, it does not get easier. One thing I, and I'm sure you guys didn't think about, are the fucking racks. Holy hell, these annoying little asshole birds that fly around are already annoying enough in a vanilla run, let alone after making them multiply like goddamn rabbits. Anyway, I made it towards the gate that opens into Flint's camp, and fuck me, it's already so hard. Getting through these encounters is just a constant battle of attrition against a seemingly endless wave of glue-eating mongrels. However, due to this, my aim is getting pretty good.
Alright.
I spent the next 5 minutes fighting to make it another 100 feet just to reach Claptrap, only to find him getting jumped by 30 dudes like he accidentally wore the color blue in downtown LA. Anyway, the two of us continued further into the camp, higher and higher towards the ship, and were continuously met with more and more enemies. Anyway, let's just skip the next 15 minutes of mindlessly throwing myself at a Travis Scott concert and get to the Captain Flint fight, because this shit is not gonna be fun.
Here we go.
Torture dolls, boys! Let's turn up the heat!
Oh, please don't be 4. Please don't. Fuck. Oh no. Oh no. This is impossible. Now, if you haven't played Borderlands or don't remember Captain Flint, he is basically the first real boss of the game. And honestly, he's not the easiest in the world. He has multiple phases where he goes into a separate mode that significantly reduces the damage dealt to him. He can also set certain parts of the arena on fire and spawn multitudes of fire-laden psychos, which, you know, are all going to get multiplied into fucking oblivion. And now there's gonna be 4 of them. This entire fight is just me running in fucking circles for close to half an hour, dying repeatedly and having to restart many times. About 10 minutes into the fight, I'd killed 2 of the 4 Captain Flints when I was met with a new challenge. I was about halfway through the fight, but there were no other enemies in the arena besides the bosses. Now, as I said earlier in the video, my general strategy for fighting was to just throw myself in the crowd like some fucked up bukkake, hoping to get a second win over and over again. But now I no longer have that option. I'm going to have to kill both of these full health bosses with no help of a second win. So what did I do? You bet your ass I just sat in a box where they couldn't reach me and shot them for the next 10 minutes. This isn't one of those cool ass videos where the person is a god gamer and does a 720 tray kickflip onto the boss's balls and one-shots them. No, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm not good at games. I'm going to do anything in my power not to restart this fight. And you know, it worked. It was annoying and boring as hell, but I am on Claptrap ship heading to Sanctuary. Me and the robot made it to the mainland where we attempted to use the catch ride system, but this is a Borderlands game, so we're gonna have to kill a random horde of enemies and grab a doohickey to check off a little box in the top right corner to progress. With that out of the way, I grabbed a car and made my way to Sanctuary, where once again I was redirected somewhere else before I could get to my main objective, this time being sent into a fucking barren wasteland to try and save a guy that's already dead. But don't you worry, I still have to kill the 20 psychos attacking him and the horde of rack flying above, because that's this entire goddamn playthrough. And now I have to enter the bandit camp because, as I said earlier, this is a Borderlands game, so we're gonna have to kill a random horde of enemies and grab a doohickey to check off a little box in the top right corner to progress. Now don't forget the rules of this run. I had to sit there and kill every single enemy. Once I grabbed the power cell, I returned it to the goofy looking guard at Sanctuary and went to meet up with Roland, but surprise surprise, this is a fucking Borderlands game, so he's not here, meaning I get to be redirected to another goddamn enemy camp. So let me take you along to the Firehawk's lair, where I'm sure I won't have to kill another 300 fucking enemies. And can I say thank the goddamn Lord for this bonus package I got from Boom Boom, because I think I might have committed a federal crime if I had to do this with just normal guns. Now, if you've played Borderlands 2 before, you know this stage is annoying on its own. It's filled with dozens of nomads, fire nomads, Goliaths, fire Goliaths, badass psychos, and yeah, you guessed it, badass fire psychos. The enemy design in this game is truly vast and original, but that's aside the point. What I'm trying to say is fighting through here with this mod is fucking mind-numbing, and after a certain point, around the 40th nomad, I just turned my brain off and started lobbing grenades. Now, as you get closer to the Firehawks there, you run into multiple traps that are each guarded by a badass fire psycho, and usually there's 4 of them, meaning I get to sit there and mindlessly shoot 16 fucking badass psychos. And they don't all spawn at once, so I'm just gonna have to sit there and watch them come out one by one after another, like I'm an absent dad who's only there for the kid's birth. Except I killed them after they're born. That's a bad analogy. Moving on, I made it into the Firehawk's lair, ready to sit there and shoot hundreds of enemies for nearly 10 minutes, and I understand that's not the most exciting thing in the world, so let's just... I hope that gave you guys a taste for what this entire challenge is like for me. So please, for my sake, just subscribe. The playthrough alone took 15 hours, and that's not even including the time it took to write close to 20 pages and edit the entire thing, so just, I beg of you, give me a little sub. For the love of God, I'll beg. Do you want me to get on my knees and beg? I'll do it. I'll do it for your subscription, please. I will do anything. After Lilith failed to teleport me to the Bloodshot Stronghold, I just drove there in a car, only to find out I'm gonna need a bandit technical. Because, you know, anything to pad out the runtime. So I made my way to the dust, and this was the one part of the game I wholeheartedly enjoyed for one reason and one reason alone. Oh my. Oh my. That... Hello.
That was awesome.
You're awesome. After stealing the technical parts off the bandit trucks and returning to Ellie, I graciously watched her work and construct the bandit technical. and once I had it in the catch-a-ride system, I simply grabbed one and returned back to the Bloodshot Stronghold. Now, before we enter the Stronghold, I'd like to break some bad news to you guys. Just as I entered it, I accidentally quit to the main menu and quickly loaded back in. However, I'm a fucking idiot and forgot to turn the mod back on, meaning that this upcoming section where you kill the Warden and the boss fight with Wilhelm both don't have the enemy modifier. So it's a little unprofessional, but I'm just gonna skip around to the important story beats so that you don't have to watch me just play a normal game of Borderlands 2. Alright, let's speedrun the shit. So first we fight through the Bloodshot Stronghold and rescue Roland from the Warden Constructor. He then directs us to wake up Spy Mordecai, and then instructs us to meet with Tiny Tina. Say hi to Tina, everyone. After that, Tina tells us to get her badonkadonks that have been stolen by nearby bandits. We go and kill the nearby bandits and recover her badonkadonks. We use the badonkadonks to blow up a train that may or may not have civilians and the vault key on it. It's a trade we're willing to make. We then searched the records of the train car, didn't find the vault key, had to kill Wilhelm, and found an energy core that is surely very real. After that, I got the mod working again and installed the power core that's very real. No fucking way. Lilith once again failed to teleport me anywhere remotely fucking correct, resulting in me having to fight my way through the fridge, otherwise known as the New York subways. Once I was done murdering homeless people underground, I exited into the Highlands, and I don't know what the fuck happened here, but there was a difficulty spike like no other. For context, we are roughly halfway through the game's main storyline and 4 hours into the gameplay. There are another 10 hours left of gameplay in this footage. It took 2.5 times longer to complete the second half of the game than the first, so let's just get into it. So I entered the Highlands, where I was immediately met with close to 20 stalkers, and I just had to sit there and kill them all because those are the fucking rules I set. I hope you're enjoying. Before I even had the chance to jump down off the cliff, the multitudes of hot loaders below had already made their way up to me. And let me make it clear, hot loader is the name of that specific type of loader. I'm not trying to do any of that Rule 34 shit. Do you think there is like loader bot Rule 34? Let me look that up. Oh fucking Christ, what is wrong with you guys? Now that we've had that sobering experience together, let's just get back to the video, man. I made it down into the excavation zone where normally a constructor spawns to try and stop the player from continuing, except now there are 4 of them, but I've got a little itty bitty trick up my sleeve and it's called Bore. Bore is a perk exclusive to the character Zero in Borderlands 2, and it is the sole reason I picked him for this run. So how it works is once you purchase the perk, all of your bullets can now penetrate enemies. If the bullet penetrates an enemy and hits another, the bullet gains massive bonus damage. This can happen to multiple enemies with the same bullet, each time gaining more and more damage, resulting in things like this happening. After wiping my balls across those constructors, I'm mentally steeled for the upcoming battle against 4 threshers and an endless wave of loaders. But eventually, through sheer force of will, I just threw myself at them over and over again until they died and continued to overlook, which was one of the most mind-numbing, boner-crushing, butt-fucking encounters in this entire game. Entering Overlook, I already knew what I was in for, so I bought all the ammo I could hold, fortified my position, and prepared for the hull blasting that was this wave defense mission. I placed the beacon, and within seconds, I was already getting overwhelmed with satellite-launched loaders. You remember earlier in the video when I said that my game almost crashed from the amount of enemies being spawned at once? Yeah, this is that, so buckle up. These goddamn loaders would just not stop coming. This entire section is just me running in circles, desperately trying not to die while simultaneously attempting to repair that beacon and kill every enemy. About halfway through the fight, constructors start dropping and spawning even more enemies, which is pretty sick. I didn't think there was enough already. Here's what the arena looks like during a brief hiatus between enemy attacks. Keep in mind, we are halfway done the goddamn fight, and this shit already looks like a US war crime. There's a lot of them, so just pick your favorite. After the pause, Hyperion begins dropping hot, badass, and warloaders. And guys, we learned this earlier, it's because they shoot fire, not because they're attractive. Please, for the love of Christ, do not look up hot loader Rule 34. It does exist, and you will see things you don't want to see. I quickly cleared the rest of the loaders, and here's a quick run through of what the arena looks like after the fight. As soon as that fucking fiasco was over, I was right back to it, cause Roland just sent me to the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve to save Bloodwing and get the upgrade for Claptrap. I'm sure the building designed to house multitudes of animals is not going to have that many enemies in it. Surely. So getting into the preserve was rough, to say the least. There was an insane amount of enemies blocking my way. If you look on the minimap, all those little red dots are enemies, and there's enough of them to make a teenage boy with pizza face turn red. And getting through the preserve was even rougher. Remember, throughout this entire run, I didn't flee from a single encounter, meaning I had to kill every loader, every engineer, Every skag, every rack, every stalker. I committed enough animal abuse to outshine PETA, and that's hard to do. That's not gonna be the end of the animal abuse though. A little birdie told me I'm gonna have to kill Mordecai's big birdie, and trust me, it's no easier when there's 4 fucking massive, grotesquely mutated murderous birds. Now the way the Bloodwing AI works when there's more than one of them in the arena is that the moment you defeat one, it just flies into the corner motionless until the end of the fight. That means all I'm gonna have to do is try and single them out one by one. However, only one of the 4 Bloodwings can actually go through all 4 stages of the boss fight, so I'm just gonna have to find the correct one and focus him. Easier said than done, but still, I think I can do that. I got the first one down somewhat easily and turned my attention towards the remaining 3, except 2 of the remaining also just flew in the corner with the one that had no health left and just sat there for the entire fight. I'm just gonna roll with it and focus on the last one left. And if you have a problem with that, suck my big fat nuts. After saving Bloodwing, Roland instructed us to meet his contact at 1000 Cuts, which is code for running into another wave-based mission segment that will cut multiple years off your lifespan due to the brain cell melting amount of enemies shooting you over and over again. I just fucking love Borderlands 2. Anyway, you know the goddamn spiel by now. There were a lot of enemies, I killed them, I met Brick, let's continue. Once he was back at Sanctuary, I was sent off to Opportunity to kill Jack's body double, and apparently this is just where every single engineer, loader, and constructor lives. I feel like I killed every Hyperion employee from here to Ohio, but I clutched up and killed the body double, returning successfully cloaked as Handsome Jack. And this was the moment I feared since starting this run, where angels feared to tread. One of, if not the hardest mission in Borderlands 2, in my opinion, even beating out the final mission. Playing through this level with the mod on is going to be like sticking a hot metal rod in my urethra, but I guess some people are into that kind of stuff. I grabbed Claptrap, clenched my cheeks, and continued past the threshold towards Angel. And it was even worse than I could have expected. This first section alone took me 20 minutes to complete, and it only got harder. But you know what? This entire mind-melting, brain-scrambling challenge was all worth it for this one bore shot. And oh my god. Holy shit. Fuck me. Oh wait. Oh, wait! Boar! Boar! Oh my god! But boar, similar to cocaine, feels good for a couple minutes after doing it, and then you crash right back down to reality where you're just surrounded by weird, sweaty men trying to kill you. I've never done drugs before, I don't know what it's like. I made my way up the mountain and entered Bunker's lair. Now, most of you may be somewhat concerned at the thought of me having to kill 4 bunkers simultaneously, but thankfully there's an easy solution, and it's called motherfucking bore, baby. Due to the bunker having multiple hitboxes, you can bore it without your bullets even having to pass through any extra enemies. This shit's gonna be a fucking breeze. Now, don't ask me why, but for some reason during this fight, and this fight alone, there was some of the worst audio glitches I've ever experienced. Fuck me. Oh my god, that's so loud. Why is that so loud? I boarded the final bunker and made my way down to Control Core Angel, where I was met with another wave defense section, but me and you have seen enough of those, so let's just skip to the cool part. After that, we needed to gain access to the Arid Nexus, however, our way was conveniently blocked by a Hyperion bridge, so we had to go to the Sawtooth Cauldron. And to be frank with you guys, this was the most unenjoyable part of this entire run. I wanted to turn my PC off throughout this entire goddamn area. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna go right to the end where you grab all the dynamite, and then jump off the tower, never to look at that fucking location again. Because holy hell, that tower was almost the end of this entire run, and I think me and you both are ready to be done with this thing, so let's just get going. After making it to the Arid Nexus, I struggled turning on each of the pump valves due to the enemies in the hallways blocking me like cholesterol in a fat guy's veins. But with a little perseverance and elbow grease, I popped the Iridium pipeline just like a fat guy's blood vessel. I ran through the pipeline to reach the info stockade, made a quick pit stop to grab the Lady Fist, and continued. I bored the fuck out of Saturn, struggled my way up to the info stockade, grabbed the chip, and went on my merry way. Now, my friends, we have finally made it. The Talon of God, the final mission. We're almost done. Me and Claptrap opened the door into Hero's Pass, and I continued alone, ready to end this misery one way or another. Entering this, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. There was a good half-mile stretch of bull, badass war, and hot loaders ready to intercept me by any means necessary. And God knows nobody was going to stop me. I was a man on a fucking mission, and just to clear this up one last time, guys, hot loader refers to the loaders that shoot fire. I'm not referring to them as sexually attractive in any way, shape, or form. My path forward was temporarily blocked by a quadruplet of super badass loaders that did not last long. Like I said earlier, I was here to finish, and no enemy in the game was immune to bore. The Hyperion ship forgot to drop the constructor off when it flew across, meaning it had no more barriers between me and the final boss arena. I entered with a newfound confidence, ready to shoot Jack in his fucked up face and kill the warrior. I took the elevator down and was met with Jack and his digiclones, except I've played my fair share of Among Us and I'm pretty goddamn good at deciphering who the imposter is, meaning Jack got his shit rocked. Throughout the fight, each of the 4 warriors spawned one by one. After a new one spawned, the one I was just fighting would immediately dive back into the lava, making it impossible for me to kill them sequentially. I was just about ready to buckle in for a long-ass boss fight until something unexpected happened. Yeah, so all of the warriors respawned in the same location just as I was shooting, meaning that I shot a single bullet that ricocheted through each of their hitboxes, killing all of them at the same time. A little anticlimactic, to be honest with you guys, but at the same time, a time lapse of me slowly shooting all of them would have been a lot more boring as well. So, can you beat Borderlands 2 with maxed out enemy spawns? Fuck yeah, you can. Should you do it? Not unless you like sticking hot metal rods up your urethra. But like I said earlier, some people are into that shit. Have a good one, and tell me down below if you enjoyed. Peace.